Looked very solid. I think a feature of his play was how straight he played early, and when he's hitting that ball back past the bowler, you know he's in really good touch. So that was a superb innings, well supported by Stephen Smith, and a nice cameo from Maxwell at the end.
Yeah.
A couple of other players could have done a little bit more, but you know you're never going to be able to get the perfect batting performance. But I think all in all they'll be very happy.
I mean, from the evidence of what we've seen in this World Cup, 3 innings can give you an ideal batting performance. You've got one guy who gets a big 100, another guy to support him in the middle, and that little burst from Glenn Maxwell at the end. Otherwise, we again could have been talking about how Australia looked good for many more than they eventually got. But that 25 ball 46 is the difference between a 300, which has been nervy against West Indies and could have been against Pakistan, and a 334, which now looks quite solid.
Yeah, so you need a good finish. I mean, as well as the top order has played and they've done their job, you need a good finish. We saw that India do that against Australia.
Yes.
And Australia needed that. I think that's what Maxwell can do towards the end of the innings. It's very hard to stop him. And sometimes, in my opinion, he plays a shot too early. Today, I mean, the situation was there. He could bat freely, but even towards the end, he was a little bit more sensible in picking balls. So, ideal finish. Australia needed that 330 plus after the kind of innings that Smith and Finch have played.
It was a fun innings to watch because I felt as though the momentum really ebbed and flowed throughout
throughout the course of
the whole course of the innings. But I feel like Australia got off to a really good start, and then Sri Lanka came back into it with a good spell from the off spinner De Silva. Took a couple of wickets, and we thought, oh, they're getting right back into it here, Sri Lanka. And then Australia surged again with Smith and Finch, and then lost another couple of wickets. And it looked a little bit dodgy when Sean Marsh was out there, a couple of run outs, and then Maxwell just finished it off again for Australia at the end.
It's the beauty of the ebb and flow of the one-day game. You say it's the most threatened format in cricket because Test cricket's going to be fine and T20 cricket and ODI cricket is going to be somewhere in the middle. But this is the beauty of it. It allows teams to come back time and time again.
Exactly right. And that's what I love about it as well. Even if you get off to a bad start, there's still time to get back into the game. And if you know if a few things go your way, and so I think the game will survive because that's one of the reasons why it'll survive.
Where would the two of you be without your ODI records, right? Where would Tilakratne Dilshan be without his ODI record as well? You've got 3 ODI greats in our studio. Let's go to Dilshan and ask him if he's happy or content with that performance. It looked for a moment there, Dilshan, that like Hasi says, in different parts of that innings that Sri Lanka are finding their way back. At 334, what do you make of that score? Would Sri Lanka be happy or would they be up against it now?
I think for me, I think a little bit more than whatever I expect. Thing is, after first few overs, 5-6 overs, then they come back to the game. They control really well from until 25th over. We'll show how important the all spinners in the middle. The Dhananjay bowled really well. I think that's also a little bit too much. His ball throughout 8 overs. I think he should finish 6 overs. Somebody's bring and he should bring back later on rather than giving full 8 to 10 overs. I think his bowling unit a little bit disappointed. We didn't take any advantage first few hours, first 10 overs, but the all credit go to the Finch. One of the best innings I saw from the Finch, where he from the first ball, we feel he's in the good nick. I think he really controlled really well in the throughout the inning. He batted with the Smith. Batted with the Warner also, he had a good partnership. Is rotate the strikes, loose ball, they take the boundaries. I think they manage really well. But Sri Lanka point of view, from the first over, our body language is a bit flat. We saw how many misfield in the field. We should control all the things going right direction to win against Aussie. I think body language a little bit very poor and very flat from the how many mistakes in the field. I think everything is count. That's why they passed 300 plus. I think it's all credit go to the Australian batting unit.
Yeah, it's an excellent point Dilshan makes about the fielding in the early half because they had managed to keep David Warner quiet. The opening bowlers didn't do the worst job. They weren't quite supported in the field. We'll come back to that point because Dilshan's raised a couple of very good points on not only the body language in the field but also the use of the part-time spinner. Perhaps Karunaratne missed a trick or two. But let's set this up with the Aaron Finch innings because he's set up this game and he's setting his World Cup alight as well. And that 153 is just a little behind David Warner's 178 against Afghanistan in the last World Cup. And I think Mike Hussey would remember that 158 against the West Indies, although Matthew Hayden scored runs every game literally that tournament. So you do have Aaron Finch at number 3. And I don't think he would have noted what records are, that he was 20 short of, 30 short of getting to the highest scorers and all. He himself could have got one more and got his own highest score in ODI cricket. I don't think the Aussies think that way. Or Aaron
No,
Finch
he
does.
wouldn't think like that at all. He's very much a team player. That's the beauty of Aaron Finch. When he does get in, he generally goes on and scores those big match-winning scores, and he scores so quickly as well. So he's a valuable player when he's in great touch. So it was a fantastic innings. It really was. He looked superb at the crease, looked balanced, his timing was good, and once he gets in, he's very, very hard to bowl to and hard to stop scoring.
Yeah, he gets into a zone, doesn't Aaron Finch? We're just looking at where he got his runs, and you could see the boundary hitting ability of Aaron Finch is second to none if he gets into that zone, and that's something we did see of Finch. Yes, Huss.
That's a good sign for Aaron Finch. A lot of runs down the ground and through that cover region. That's when he's at his best. When he starts playing across his front pad and scoring runs square of the wicket, then bowlers are a chance. But when he's hitting the ball down the ground in particular, he just looks imperious.
Yeah, there wasn't anything that really tested him from a bowling front.
Not really. The good part about him is, even though, at one stage they were going okayish. I mean, they hadn't lost wicket, but the scoring rate was okay. And that one over from the off spinner, he just took him on. I think 20 of it or 19 or 20 of it. Suddenly, the score becomes 150 odd, and that changes the momentum a little bit. Gives Australia that that 1 or 2 overs that you always need somewhere, and he has that ability. Out of nowhere, just taking the boundary on, even if there are fielders on it, and especially against spin. He's such a dangerous player. That's why if he gets off to a start, is there in the middle of the innings, he's always a threat to opposition, because a lot of the spin is through that middle of the innings for most teams.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like one of those batsmen who, again, once he decides, all right, I'm going to back myself to hit boundaries, he'll hit 2 or 3 in a row. I mean, Jason Roy has done that this year tournament. He's gone past Joe Root now, and David Warner as well as the leading run scorer of this year's tournament. I think there'll be a little musical chairs in that now as this goes on. But he's one of those guys, if he just decides he's going to hit boundaries, he hits a few together.
Yeah, I think a bit like Brendan McCullum. If he gets a feeling inside that he can really take a bowler down, he'll just go for it, and he won't hold back. And he's so destructive, and if he just gets one early out of the middle, then he gets that confidence up, and then he feels like he can take a bowler down big time.
Now, Melinda Farrell had the best view of that innings, so let's see what she's got for us. What an innings from Aaron Finch. We've just about praised every aspect of his batting, Mel, but I can count on you to deliver something that we haven't noticed from the comfort of our studio so far away.
Yeah, well, who cares if Zach Haddon's right and he keeps losing the toss if he's going to score innings like that, hey? I actually had a pretty good seat for it, because some of those balls straight down the ground were pretty much in my direction. I was a little bit worried a few times. I guess one thing that Huss sort of mentioned about the rate at which he scored, I think would be incredibly encouraging for Australia, because before this match he was going at a strike rate in this World Cup of about 106. A lot of Australia's batsmen, sort of until you get down to Glenn Maxwell and Alex Carey, are kind of in that 75 to 95, 100. So you look around at a lot of the other teams who are performing well in this World Cup, and they have the ability to go really hard at the beginning with a batsman who can go big with a high strike rate. And that's exactly what Aaron Finch did today. So I'm sure a few teams will look at that and go, yeah, we've got to be really careful at the top of the order in case he gets away from it. He just looked so confident right from the start when he went up there. But something else, as that show was going on, something I guess I'd like to throw back to Huss, really. I'm just wondering, Huss, what you think Australia might do with Usman Khawaja next. I mean, he established himself as a valuable opener for Australia in the absence of David Warner, and he just seems to be struggling to get going when the ball's not new so far in this World Cup. And I don't know, Australia seem to be trying to fit pieces into a puzzle, and I'm not sure yet whether or not they've quite worked out what the best fit is.
Yeah, it's a good question, Mel. I think what seems to be the tactic for me is that they're using the left-hand, right-hand combination. So if Finch gets out, a right-hander in Stephen Smith will come in at number 3. If Warner gets out, like today, then Usman Khawaja will come in at 3. Now, Khawaja's probably best suited coming in either at 3 or opening the batting. So if they want to continue with that tactic, then it's probably not going to suit Khawaja all that much. As far as him making way in the team, who do you bring in for him? There's only really Sean Marsh as the other batsman onto it. He's not exactly setting the world on fire.
He'd jump at the chance of batting 3 right now.
He would, but on current form, can you really make that decision to drop Khawaja and bring in Sean Marsh? So if it's up to me, I'm just backing him in. I'm saying, look, he's a quality player. just show him the faith and the love. He's that sort of guy that needs that backing. If you back him in, when things aren't quite going to plan, he'll repay you in spades down the track. So just keep backing him in, and he'll come good, I'm hoping.
All right, Mel, have you got any more tough questions for Mike Hussey? I think it's always the Western Australia boys that get it hard. Poor Sean Marsh has to bat 5, 6, 7. New South Wales boys just make sure they get all the opportunities left, right and centre, don't they?
Not really. I mean, I'm just hoping you guys are enjoying it back there, because what I will tell you is that there are a few drops of RAIN hanging around at the moment, but I'm hoping that they don't get too bad. You might notice I've ditched the sunglasses and I've now got a jacket on, so the temperature's dropped a little bit. Hopefully that's as far as it goes.
Right, you know what, Mel, make sure you try and stop that rain now. We're giving you some time to go and stop that rain from coming in, and I know the powers that you possess in the United Kingdom are second to none, so get rid of that rain. We don't want any more delays. We've already had a little bit of rain in the other game in between South Africa and Afghanistan. Let's hope it doesn't trouble us here. Aaron Finch, excellent, and that works well because you never know what David Warner decides to turn up today. The one that wants to bat at a strike rate of 100, 120 at times, or the one that says, I'm going to take my time here. And boy, when he decides he wants to take his time, he takes it. And that takes us also to our Hotstar top comment of the innings so far of the match. And let's just have a look at this. Abhishek from Hyderabad with a very, very pertinent comment here. I can't make up my mind about David Warner. Is he being smart by taking his time in the middle given the conditions, or should he just start hitting from the beginning? Now, I get what you're trying to come for, Abhishek, and if you're a Hyderabad boy, you know that for the Sunrisers, David Warner's just stoked it from the first ball. And we're looking at different innings here. Against India in a chase, he decided he wants to go slow. Today, 26 of 48. It's uncharacteristic, or is it something that he's just assessing and playing? What do you make of David Warner in this World Cup so far?
It's a little bit uncharacteristic, I must admit, but they bowled well to him today, you know, and that's the thing. It's not that easy at international cricket level just to come out and just blast bowlers, you know, the best bowlers from around the world all over the park. You think back to the Indian game. You've got two world-class opening bowlers coming in and building up pressure. So, you know, it's not easy. Today, I felt as though Aaron Finch got off to a bit of a flyer, and he was looking great. Warner perhaps just struggled for his timing. Sri Lanka bowled quite well to him, and you just don't quite get your timing going. You start playing tricks in your mind as well, and it doesn't quite go your way. I wouldn't be worrying about David Warner. He's still scoring runs. Yes, he's definitely not at his best, but as he gets more used to the conditions, as the pitches keep getting better and better as this tournament wears on, I think you'll see his strike rate continue to rise.
This is only David Warner's fault for the way he batted in the IPL. He's making us think
Probably.
like this.
Actually, I asked the same thing to Huss, whether, you know, off air, before we were talking about the same thing. Is it that he's decided to take this approach because his numbers in England aren't good and these conditions don't necessarily suit him going, you know, or teeing off from ball one, or whether, you know, he's just being smart and this is the approach he's going to take for the rest of the World Cup? Because all the 3 innings or 4 innings that he's got runs, that's the way he started. I don't think there's anything wrong with it because he has the ability to make up. But clearly there's something in these conditions that he doesn't feel comfortable at the start. I mean, there's been some good bowling obviously against him which has contributed to it, but we've seen him take down good bowling before and score quickly. If he does get back to that, you know, quick scoring form, might help Australia, but I don't think this approach is bad either.
Yeah, I mean, he remains the second highest run getter this World Cup, this David Warner, and 100 in the last game, but he is playing in a different sort of style. We'll discuss Warner, Australia, rest of the batting and the chase on the other side. So stay with us on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday.
No cricketer loves a World Cup final more than Adam Gilchrist. The Australian made the final of all 3 World Cups he played in, 1999, 2003 and 2007, and won each of them. He also scored 50 plus in all 3 finals. His 104 ball 149 remains the highest score in a World Cup final.
It's time to have some fun.
Good to still have you on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday UK 2019. Our focus is at the Australia-Sri Lanka game at the Oval. 335 is what Dimuth Karunaratne's side need to register quite the win and send a serious message to the rest of the World Cup. It's not improbable. Sri Lanka have fond memories of chasing a big score against a formidable opposition in the form of India at the Oval not too long ago, where a number of these batsmen were there too. But before I go to the chase, let me go back to the points that Dilshan raised a little earlier about the use of the bowlers. Now, it's been a tough day for Nuwan Pradeep, Dilshan, which perhaps in hindsight begs the question, does the Suranga Lakmal exclusion look good after 50 overs? You said it's a good call because it ends the batting, but could there still have been room for Lakmal? And secondly, the use of the bowlers. Did Karunaratne miss a trick, perhaps by not bowling out somebody like Dhananjay De Silva at that point? So you'd have to take maybe 1 or 2 overs off that one bowler of the day who isn't looking good.
I think for Nuwan Pradeep, I feel he's not 100% recovered when he's bowling today compared to the Afghanistan game. Totally different game he bowled today. I feel he's not 100% recovered. And Dhananjay, I think he's too much. He's bowled 8 overs. I think that 8th over when 20 runs and momentum change from that. Thinking, you know, Finch is how good against spin. If somebody is bowling continuously 6-7 overs, he definitely going to take a chance 1 over in the middle. I think that's exactly Finch did. 8th over, take a chance when 20 runs, then momentum change. And totally disappointed bowling unit. Full credit go to the Isuru Udana and De Silva, and I'm a bit disappointed. Thisara Pereira and other bowlers didn't click well. They didn't bowl well. And other point is our body language really flat for a lot of mistakes, a lot of fumbles, a lot of misfield. I think if some bowlers not doing well, should fieldings unit should take up extra 10% to the support of the bowlers. But they are also doing mistakes. Very difficult to come out if you have 2 batsmen going really well.
All right, Dilshan, let's put our attention to the chase now. 335, you've had this a number of times in your career, big score coming up. I'd love to know what the opening batsmen tell each other looking at the opposition bowlers they have. The talk around this World Cup is Stark and Cummins look terrific, but if you can negotiate them, then there is runs for the taking from the rest of the bowling. I wish it was the same bowling attack, because then my point would have been that much more valid about Nathan Coulter-Nile not having the best of bowling form. But is that the mindset right now of the 2 openers? Will they be telling themselves, let's try and negotiate Stark and Cummins, and we could have runs from the rest to make this a game?
I think still Kusal Pereira should play his own game rather than stuck one side. He should play natural game. Thing is, we are chasing 375. We can't, from the start, we can't go negative. He should go positive way. Dimuth should try to bat long as possible with the number 3 Thirimana. Then we know they have they doesn't have a 5th bowler. We can target later on, and Angelo and middle orders should try to bat rather than take a chance. If you bat normal, and later on we can target that 5th bowler, and anything can happen middle. If all the batting unit click, we can get this 335. Not easy. We have to bat perfectly.
Yeah, we know what they can do if they click together. If Kushal Mendis, like he says, bats the way he does, India know what he can do.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's straightforward, but you don't want to lose too many early wickets. I think, like you said, you know, Stark and Cummins. I don't know whether Cummins will open today or Behrendorff opens the. That's Cummins to follow if Behrendorff does open. So it makes it a bit more formidable, the attack. They'll not want to lose too many early wickets. Still continue with the game, especially Pereira.
I was sure Dilshan was going to say, no, to Stark, you go down and you flick it over the keeper for 6, which I saw him do a couple of times in his career.
Bit more from us and Dilshan for our viewers on ESPN Cricinfo. For viewers in the Caribbean, it's time for the chase. We'll be back at the end of the Sri Lankan innings. And viewers on ESPN Cricinfo, just stay right with us. We continue this chat because I like what Mike Hussey said. Every batsman has his own unique approach. And we might be saying don't lose early wickets, which means something for Thirimana and Karunaratne. But if Kusal Pereira comes out, it may mean something else. You'd think Jason Behrendorff would take the new ball. That's his sort of role, the new ball, which would mean one of Stark or Cummins would then have to bowl a lot more in the middle.
That's where he's best suited, because his strength is he's very disciplined with his lines and lengths, but he can get that new ball to swing. Now, we haven't seen the white ball swing a great deal, in this tournament so far. So it'll be interesting to see what the Australians do, but I think they should probably give him the new ball and perhaps use someone like a Pat Cummins as first change, which does sort of strengthen that middle order a little bit. But I think, picking up on one of Dilshan's points there, it is important for the batsmen to keep playing their natural game.
Yeah.
Just to say, okay, we don't want to lose any wickets in the first 5 overs, let's just get through Stark and Cummins. Then suddenly you're taking your mind off what's important. You might miss out on 3 or 4 boundaries. Stark, yes, he's a very good bowler, but he has got the ability to bowl some loose balls and some boundary balls as well. The Sri Lankan batsmen need to be ready to jump on those loose deliveries if they present themselves.
Right. Who opens for Sri Lanka is the other question, Dilshan. And this is, I think, the bigger question around Sri Lanka about whether their batting can click collectively as a unit. They threw in Kusal Perera in the game against Afghanistan. It was Karunaratne and Thirimane that opened in the game against New Zealand. They've had 2 more games where they would have loved to try out the steady pair. But who for you should open now that they have 335 to get?
I think definitely Kusal Perera and Dimuth should open. The thing is, Kusal can play his natural game. Dimuth should try to bat 50 over. I think this is the best 2 openers at the moment we have in the side. Definitely Kusal and Dimuth should open.
And we do need a collective batting performance. We have seen Angelo Matthews go down the order, and we have been critical of that. That, I think, again becomes the key. 3, 4, 5. Would you like to see Angelo Matthews come up, be the senior player, take the game early if the opportunity comes, bat high?
Yeah, definitely. Angelo should bat number 4, Thirimana bat number 3. Then these 2 guys have enough experience. If you chase like 300 plus, Angelo should click and he should come bat number 4. And everyone try to bat around Angelo and others batsmen should. Everyone should have to click. Not easy chasing 300. Not 1 or 2 batsmen can't. If he first 4, one guy should get big 100 to chase the 335 plus.
Yeah, I mean, that pushes a Kushal Mendes down to a 5 if what Dilshan Singh happens. And we've got serious ability. That game against India, we've seen him score some good runs. He seems to have gone out of form. But do you have the confidence in a Sri Lankan batting unit that they can get runs collectively?
Yeah, that's why the start becomes important, because we've seen the middle order not do the job at the moment. And like you said, there are names there who are good players. Angelo Matthews himself, he'll want to put in he'll need to put in a big performance. I mean, it'll be great if the top 3 chase it down, but if he does get an opportunity, the top 3 have looked good against Afghanistan in that game in challenging conditions. So I can't imagine them changing that order. But the middle order will have to play a role today if they have to get anywhere close.
One of the challenges, I think, for the Sri Lankan batting order is just how rusty they're going to be. They haven't played a game in, 11 days, did we say, in the lead up? Their last 2 matches have been washed out. The best practice you can have is in the middle, getting confidence out there, scoring runs. And unfortunately for them, they haven't been able to do that.
And the 2 games that they've played haven't done much apart from the top order, really.
Yeah, so that's going to be the challenge for them.
And they do have the other luxury of knowing that 10 overs will come between Glenn Maxwell, Aaron Finch, and maybe Steven Smith. So Thisara Pereira and Milinda Shrivardhana and all the other extra batsmen they put in would work well. Many thanks to Tilakratne, Dilshan, Mike Hussey and Ajit Agarkar. We'll get their thoughts at the end of this game on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday UK 2019.